All right, I have some good news when we're working on fractions, decimals, and percents, and this is actually a typo. This should be p.4. You are allowed to use calculators on the next three sections. So p.4 through p.6, you will be able to use calculators. And obviously on the quiz and the test, you'll be allowed to use those as well. All right, so the first thing we have to do, and we don't need calculators for this, is turning decimals into percents. Now, in order to do that, we're actually multiplying by 100, or we're moving the decimal place 2 to the right. So if we have the decimal of 0.2 and we moved that 2 to the right, that means it would be 20%. And if we had the decimal 18.45, that actually means that we're dealing with the percentage of 1,845%. 83 or 0.83 would be turned into 83%. 8 would be turned into, be two zeros here, 800%. 2.4 would turn into 240%. And 0.223 would turn into 22.3%. Now, if you have a decimal inside of a percent, that's fine as long as the numbers match up. Now, what's important here is the markers that matter for percentages is that a percent that is less than, if you have 100%, okay, that's 100% of your number. That's like on a goal on a test. That's every single point that you want to get. 50% is like 1/2 of something, and then 25% would be like 1/4, and 0% would be nothing, 0. Okay, so most of the time the spectrum on percentages is going to be between 0 and 100. If you get something that's bigger than 100, that means you're actually increasing or getting bigger. We'll deal with that in a couple sections. But for now, I just want you to understand that decimals to percents, you move it 2 to the right, and then percents to decimals, you move it 2 to the left. Okay? So I want you to try these on your own, and then I will go through them. So this should be 83%, 22%, 300%, 36%, 212%, and 14.8%. Okay? Fractions to percents is adding in another step, and this is where calculators will be useful. The first thing we have to do in order to turn these into percents is open up a calculator and figure out what 1 divided by 2 is as a decimal. In this case, 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. And then 0.5, if we move the decimal twice, will turn into 50%. Okay? I know you have calculators that can do that. Decimals to percents is one button. I want you to skip that button, okay? The fraction button I don't like, and the percent button I don't like on those calculators. Okay? Whoa, that's not good. Here, and for most of these, I can do them in my head. This actually turns out to be 0.66 repeating, but since we don't like repeating decimals, we're going to round this to 0.67, and that will turn into 67%. 4 divided by 9, I cannot do that one in my head, which is 0.44 repeating. Once again, we don't like repeating decimals, so this turns into 0.44, and it turns into 44%. 4/5, that is 0.8. We move that decimal place 2, and we get 80%. All right? I want you to try these on your own, see what you get. This one should be 0.4 or 40%. This is 0.25 or 25%. This is 0.333 repeating, but we'll do 0.33 and turn it into 33%. And this is 2/7, which I cannot do in my head. And that turns out to be 0.286 in this one. So 28.6%. Okay? For the last section, we're going to order from least to greatest. Now, some of these are percentages, some of these are decimals, some of these are percents, fractions, whatever. We need to turn them all into something. And I'm going to turn them all into percents, and then we will be able to compare. I know that 0.22 is 22%. Negative 0.43 is negative 43%. 1.6, well, that stays the same. And negative 2/3, that's negative 0.667, which turns into negative 66.7%. And so ordering them from least to greatest, you always want to write the original numbers in. So that's negative 2/3 is the smallest, because that's the largest negative percentage. This here is second, so negative 0.43. 1.6%, that's third biggest, and then 0.22 is the largest number, and that's ordered from least to greatest. Okay, so you got to turn them all into something. I did percent. You could turn them all into fractions. You could turn them all into decimals. I don't care. Whatever makes the most sense to you. So, least to greatest on this one. Once again, I like turning these into percents. So 4 divided by 7, that's 0.57 or 57%. 2.3, that's 230%. Negative 4%, that can stay the same. And negative 4.2, that's negative 420%. So, least to greatest, this is smallest right here, so negative 4.2. This is second smallest, negative 4%. This is second biggest, so 4/7. And the largest is 2.3. All right, I think that's everything. Nope, 2 quick questions, I think, and then we are done. Yeah, we're done after this. So, Mr. Schmidt shot 18 baskets, and he made 13 of them. What was his percentage? So in this one, I do, obviously, makes over my total. That's my fraction of my shots that I made, and I turn that into a decimal. 13 divided by 18 is 0.72. And then that turns into a percentage, 72%. And then finally, the last one, Adriana did a survey of MCN students. She asked 70 students what their favorite class was, and 45 said that math was their favorite. 13 said gym. It's not surprising that more people picked math than gym. We all know you guys love math. So, the percent that picked math, well, this is actually junk here. That doesn't mean anything in the context of the problem. So what we care about is 70 students total, and 45 said math. So we do 45 over 70. We turn that into a decimal, which is 0.64. And that turns into 64%. And that's everything. All right, if you have any questions, make sure you ask me. The assignment will be posted online.